The warehouse fell completely silent. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The witness stood in the doorway, his face older and more worn than Ethan remembered, but there was no mistake. It was him. After all these years. Alive. Standing right in front of them. David was the first to recover. "You're alive." The witness gave a weak smile. "Barely." Ethan stared at him. His mind struggled to process what he was seeing. For years, everyone connected to the London shooting had assumed the witness had disappeared forever. Yet here he was. Breathing. Watching. Waiting. "You disappeared," Ethan finally said. The witness nodded. "I had to." "Why?" Before he could answer, Marcus stepped forward. "Because somebody wanted him dead." The statement instantly changed the atmosphere. Ethan's eyes narrowed. "What are you talking about?" Marcus folded his arms. The shooting wasn't random. A chill ran through Ethan's body. "What?" "The man who died wasn't the intended target." The witness nodded slowly. "Marcus is right." David looked confused. "Then who was the target?" The witness looked directly at Ethan. "You." The words hit like a thunderbolt. For several seconds nobody spoke. Ethan stared at him. "What?" "The gun wasn't meant for the security consultant." "No." The witness nodded. "Yes." Suddenly, memories Ethan had buried years ago came rushing back. The argument. The shouting. The confusion. The panic. Back then, everything had happened so fast. Nobody had time to think. Nobody had time to understand. But now the pieces were beginning to fit together. Back at the hostel, Rita sat nervously on her bed. Ethan had texted her. Just one message. "I'm okay. We'll talk tomorrow." Normally, those words would have comforted her. Tonight they didn't. Something felt different. Something was happening. And she hated not knowing what it was. Joy noticed her anxiety. "Still worried?" "Very." "About Ethan?" Rita nodded. Joy sat beside her. "You know, for someone that claimed she only wanted peace, you've entered one of the most complicated relationships in Nigeria." Despite everything, Rita laughed. A small laugh. "But it helped." "Tell me about it." Joy smiled. "At least it's not boring." That's the problem. Inside the warehouse, Ethan struggled to process what he had just heard. "You're saying someone tried to kill me?" The witness nodded. "Yes." "Who?" Silence. Marcus sighed. "That's why we're here." Ethan felt his frustration growing. "Stop speaking in riddles." The witness took a deep breath. Then finally spoke. "The man who stole the company money wasn't acting alone." Ethan frowned. "What do you mean?" "He had help." The revelation surprised everyone. Including David. "Help from who?" The witness looked uncomfortable. Almost afraid. And that frightened Ethan more than anything. Because if a man could stay hidden for years and still look scared, then whoever they were dealing with was dangerous. Very dangerous. Finally, the witness spoke. "There was another investor." Marcus nodded. "The real mastermind." Ethan's heart pounded. "What investor?" The witness looked directly at him. "The one who funded your company from the beginning." Immediately, Ethan froze. Because only one person fit that description. Only one. "No." The witness nodded. "Yes." Ethan took a step backward. His face went pale. Because the name forming in his head was impossible. Absolutely impossible. "It can't be." Marcus sighed. "We thought the same thing." Meanwhile, Richard sat alone inside his office. The divorce papers lay on his desk. Unopened. Untouched. His marriage was falling apart. And for the first time in years, he had nobody to blame but himself. He thought about Amaka. The sacrifices she had made. The years she had supported him. The dreams she had postponed. And what had he given her in return? Lies. Excuses. Embarrassment. His phone buzzed. It was Isabella. Immediately, he answered. Hello. Richard. Just hearing her voice made him smile. But the smile disappeared quickly. Because she didn't sound happy. We need to talk. His stomach tightened. Those 4 words rarely led to anything good. Okay. Tomorrow. The call ended. Richard stared at the phone. For the first time, he felt genuinely nervous. The following morning, Ethan barely slept. The revelations from the warehouse haunted him. He sat alone in his study reviewing old documents. Names. Contracts. Financial records. Pieces of a puzzle he never knew existed. Then his phone rang. It was Rita. Immediately, he answered. Good morning. Morning. Her voice sounded gentle. Calm. The exact opposite of the chaos surrounding him. Can I see you today? She asked. Ethan smiled. For the first time in hours. Of course. I'll come over. Okay. After the call ended, Ethan leaned back in his chair. Whatever happened next? He needed Rita. More than ever. Later that afternoon, Rita arrived at Ethan's mansion. The house still amazed her. Not because of its luxury. But because she remembered the tiny apartment everyone thought Ethan lived in. The contrast was almost funny now. The security guard greeted her warmly. Inside, Ethan was waiting. The moment she saw him, she knew something was wrong. Again. You look stressed. Ethan laughed weakly. Is it that obvious? Very. Rita sat beside him. What happened? For a moment, Ethan considered hiding it. Then remembered where secrets had gotten him. Nowhere good. So he told her everything. The warehouse. Marcus. The witness. The shocking revelation. By the time he finished, Rita was speechless. Someone wanted to kill you? Apparently. And you've been carrying this alone? Ethan nodded. Rita's heart broke. Not because of the danger. But because of how lonely he must have felt. Slowly, she reached for his hand. You don't have to carry it alone anymore. Ethan looked at her. Really looked at her. And for the first time in days, the weight on his shoulders felt lighter. Just a little. Elsewhere, Isabella met Richard at an expensive restaurant. The same type of restaurant she used to love. Today it felt different. Empty. Meaningless. Richard arrived carrying flowers again. Isabella immediately laughed. Flowers. I thought you'd like them. I would have liked accountability. Richard winced. Fair enough. The waiter left them alone. Then Isabella spoke. Your wife filed for divorce. Richard nodded. Yes. Are you sad? The question caught him off guard. He thought carefully before answering. Honestly. Honestly. Yes. Isabella was surprised. She expected excuses. Not honesty. Richard sighed. I hurt her. The admission felt genuine. And somehow, that made everything more complicated. That night, a black SUV parked outside Rita's hostel. The driver remained inside. Watching. Waiting. A few minutes later, another car arrived. Then another. Unknown men stepped out. Their faces serious. Professional. Dangerous. One of them pulled out a photograph. Rita's photograph. The man studied it carefully. Then smiled. Found her. Inside the hostel, Rita knew nothing. She was laughing with joy. Talking about exams. Planning the future. Completely unaware that trouble had just arrived at her doorstep. And across the city, the mysterious mastermind finally received an update. The caller spoke only 3 words. We found her. The mastermind smiled. Then replied calmly. Bring her to me. For the first time, Rita was no longer just connected to Ethan's past. She had become part of it. And that made her a target. The night air around the female hostel was unusually quiet. Most students had returned to their rooms after a long day of lectures and assignments. Some were preparing for exams, while others scrolled through social media or watched movies on their phones. Inside room 12, Rita, Joy, and Isabella were having one of the calmest evenings they had experienced in weeks. For once, nobody was arguing. Nobody was talking about Ethan. Nobody was discussing Richard. The tension that had dominated the room seemed to have taken a temporary break. Joy sat cross-legged on her bed reading lecture notes. Rita was organizing her project materials. Even Isabella looked unusually peaceful as she applied skincare products in front of the mirror. This feels strange, Joy suddenly said. What? Rita asked. We've been quiet for almost 20 minutes. Isabella laughed. Enjoy it while it lasts. No insults. No. No drama. No. No talk about soft life. Isabella raised an eyebrow. Don't push your luck. The 3 girls burst into laughter. For a brief moment, things felt normal again. Like old times. Before money. Before jealousy. Before secrets. Before Ethan. Unfortunately, peace rarely lasted long. Outside the hostel, the men inside the black SUVs continued watching. One of them lowered a pair of binoculars. She's inside. The leader nodded. Good. When do we move? Not yet. The younger man looked confused. We've already located her. I know. Then why wait? The leader's eyes remained fixed on the building. Because we are not amateurs. He pointed toward the security camera near the gate. Too many witnesses. The younger man nodded. The leader checked his phone. A message had arrived. 3 words. Do it quietly. A cold smile appeared on his face. Understood. Meanwhile, Ethan sat alone in his home office reviewing old company files. Since meeting the witness at the warehouse, he had become obsessed with finding answers. Something still wasn't making sense. If someone had truly wanted him dead years ago, why wait until now to strike again? Why not finish the job back then? The questions refused to leave his mind. His phone buzzed. It was Marcus. Ethan answered immediately. What happened? You need to come. Where? My hotel. Ethan frowned. Why? Marcus sounded tense. The witness is gone. The words hit Ethan instantly. What? He disappeared. How? We don't know. Ethan stood up immediately. What do you mean you don't know? Marcus sighed. He left his room. And he never came back. For several seconds Ethan said nothing. This was bad. The witness had survived for years. Years. Only to vanish again after finally resurfacing. Something was terribly wrong. At the same time, Richard was having the worst week of his life. His divorce proceedings had officially started. His finances were under pressure. Several business deals were collapsing. And Isabella had become distant. Very distant. The woman who once answered his calls immediately now ignored him for hours. His phone rang. It was his lawyer. Richard already knew it wasn't good news. Hello. Mr. Richard. Tell me. The lawyer cleared his throat. Your wife is serious. Richard closed his eyes. I know. No, sir. The lawyer sounded concerned. I mean very serious. What does that mean? She hired a forensic accountant. Richard froze. A forensic accountant. That wasn't good. Not good at all. Because a forensic accountant could uncover everything. Every hidden transfer. Every expensive gift. Every secret expense. Including the money spent on Isabella. For the first time in years, Richard felt genuine panic. The following morning, Rita left the hostel early for class. The campus was busy. Students moved in every direction. Some rushed to lectures. Others gathered beneath trees discussing assignments. The atmosphere felt completely normal. Yet Rita couldn't shake the strange feeling she had woken up with. Like someone was watching her. She glanced over her shoulder. Nothing. Just students. She continued walking. A few seconds later, a black SUV slowly passed nearby. Rita barely noticed it. But inside the vehicle, someone was taking photographs. The leader lowered his camera. Confirmed. That's her. The younger man nodded. When do we take her? The leader smiled. Soon. After classes, Rita met Ethan for lunch. The moment she arrived, she noticed his expression. You haven't slept. Ethan laughed. Is it that obvious? Very. She sat opposite him. What happened? Ethan explained the situation with the witness. Rita immediately became worried. He disappeared. Yes. Do you think someone took him? Ethan sighed. I don't know. But it feels suspicious. It is suspicious. Neither spoke for several seconds. Finally Rita reached across the table. Ethan. Whatever happens, we'll figure it out. Ethan smiled softly. One of the reasons he loved Rita was her ability to remain calm during chaos. While other people panicked. While others created drama. Rita focused on solutions. It was rare. And he appreciated it more than she knew. Back at the hostel, Isabella received an unexpected visitor. Amoka. Richard's wife. The moment she saw her standing outside the gate, her stomach tightened. What do you want? Surprisingly, Amoka looked calm. Very calm. Too calm. I just want to talk. Isabella folded her arms. We've done enough talking. Please. Something in Amoka's voice felt different. Tired. Broken. Human. Against her better judgment, Isabella agreed. They sat beneath a tree near the hostel compound. For a few moments neither woman spoke. Then Amoka sighed. I filed for divorce. Isabella nodded. I heard. Silence followed. Then Amoka said something unexpected. I'm not here to insult you. Isabella looked surprised. Then why are you here? Amoka stared at the ground. Because I'm tired. The honesty caught Isabella off guard. For the first time, she wasn't looking at Richard's angry wife. She was looking at a woman who had spent years fighting for a marriage that was falling apart. A woman who was exhausted. A woman who was hurting. And suddenly, for reasons she couldn't explain, Isabella felt guilty. Truly guilty. Later that evening, Rita left the library alone. The sun had already started setting. Most students were heading back to their hostels. The pathway was becoming quieter. She checked her phone. A message from Ethan. Call me when you get back. She smiled. then continued walking. Suddenly, a vehicle pulled up beside her. The door opened. Before Rita could react, a hand grabbed her arm. Her heart nearly stopped. "What are you doing?" She struggled immediately. "Leave me." The man tightened his grip. "Get inside." Fear exploded through her body. "No!" She screamed loudly. Students nearby turned. The attacker cursed. This wasn't supposed to happen. Not here. Not with witnesses. Another student shouted, "Hey!" More people started looking. The attacker released Rita instantly. "Move." The men jumped back into the SUV. Within seconds, the vehicle sped away, leaving Rita standing in the road, shaking, terrified, breathing heavily. Several students rushed toward her. "Are you okay? What happened?" Rita could barely answer. Her hands trembled uncontrollably. Because she knew, deep down, this wasn't random. Someone had just tried to kidnap her. And somewhere in Lagos, the mastermind received another update. The attempt failed. For the first time all evening, the mastermind looked angry. Very angry. Then he made a decision. One that would change everything. "If we can't use the girl..." He paused. Then finished coldly. "Use Ethan." Rita could not stop shaking. Even after the black SUV disappeared. Even after dozens of students gathered around her. Even after security officers arrived. Her heart continued pounding inside her chest. The whole incident had lasted less than a minute. Yet it felt like hours. Joy came running from the hostel after hearing the commotion. "Rita." The moment she saw her friend's pale face, she knew something terrible had happened. "Oh my God." Joy grabbed her shoulders. "Are you okay?" Rita nodded weakly. "I think so." "What happened?" "They tried to force me into a car." The words made everyone around them gasp. "What?" "They grabbed me." Joy's face turned white. "Who?" "I don't know." Security officers immediately began asking questions. "What did they look like? How many were there? Did you see the plate number?" Rita tried her best to answer. Unfortunately, everything had happened too quickly. All she remembered was fear. Pure fear. And the feeling of someone dragging her toward the vehicle. Then her phone rang. "Ethan." Immediately. Almost as if he sensed something was wrong. Rita answered. "Hello." The moment Ethan heard her voice, he knew. Something had happened. "Rita." She didn't answer immediately. That silence was enough. His heart dropped. What happened? 20 minutes later, Ethan's SUV screeched into the hostel compound. He jumped out before the vehicle fully stopped. Students immediately stepped aside. His eyes searched frantically until he spotted Rita sitting near the security office. The moment he saw her, relief flooded through him. She was alive. Safe. But visibly shaken. He rushed over. "Are you hurt?" Rita shook her head. "No." "You sure?" "Yes." Ethan crouched in front of her. For several seconds he simply looked at her, making sure she was really okay. Only then did he exhale. Slowly. Painfully. Joy watched the interaction silently. She had never seen Ethan look this scared before. Not angry. Not frustrated. Scared. The kind of fear a person feels when they almost lose someone important. "What happened exactly?" Ethan asked. Rita explained everything. Every detail. The SUV. The men. The struggle. The escape. By the time she finished, Ethan's expression had become dark. Very dark. because he already suspected who might be responsible. And that possibility terrified him. Elsewhere in Lagos, Marcus sat inside his hotel room reviewing surveillance photographs. The witness still hadn't been found. Which meant one of two things. Either someone had kidnapped him, or he had run away again. Neither option was good. His phone rang. Unknown number. Marcus answered cautiously. Hello. A familiar voice responded. The witness. Marcus immediately sat upright. Where are you? Safe. Safe. The witness laughed bitterly. As safe as someone can be when powerful people want him dead. Marcus sighed with relief. You scared everybody. Good. What? They need to be scared. Marcus frowned. The witness sounded different. More nervous. More desperate. Then the witness said something that made Marcus freeze. They know we're talking. Silence. Complete silence. Then Marcus whispered. Who? The witness answered immediately. The people behind everything. Meanwhile, Richard's life continued falling apart. His divorce proceedings were becoming ugly. Business investors were pulling back. And his accountant kept bringing bad news. Yet none of that bothered him as much as Isabella. Because Isabella had stopped answering his calls completely. For 3 days. No replies. No messages. Nothing. The woman who once demanded constant attention now wanted nothing to do with him. And somehow, that hurt. A lot. His phone vibrated. He immediately checked it. Not Isabella. His lawyer. Again. Richard groaned. What now? The lawyer's voice sounded serious. We have another problem. Richard rubbed his forehead. Of course we do. It's your wife. What about her? She hired private investigators. The room became silent. Richard sat upright. What? They've been looking into your finances. His stomach tightened. Because if the investigators dug deep enough, everything would come out. Every secret. Every transfer. Every lie. And once that happened, there would be no way back. Later that night, Ethan sat inside his study with David. Neither man looked relaxed. The attempted kidnapping had changed everything. This is escalating. David nodded. Fast. Ethan paced across the room. They've moved from threats. They've moved from messages. Now they are going after Rita. David's face hardened. Which means they are getting desperate. Ethan stopped pacing. You think so? Absolutely. David leaned forward. If they were confident, they wouldn't need Rita. The logic made sense. Very uncomfortable sense. Which meant whoever was behind this was losing control. And desperate people were dangerous. Very dangerous. Then Ethan's phone buzzed. Another unknown message. Immediately both men looked at the screen. The message contained only one sentence. You should have stayed in London. Ethan felt a chill run through him. David cursed. They know where you are. No. Ethan stared at the screen. They want me to know they know. The difference was important. Psychological warfare. Fear. Pressure. Control. Someone was trying to break him before making their next move. Unfortunately for them, Ethan wasn't the same man he had been years ago. Back at the hostel, Rita struggled to sleep. Every sound made her nervous. Every movement outside her window made her anxious. She kept replaying the attack in her mind. The hands grabbing her. The force. The panic. The fear. Eventually Joy sat beside her bed. You're still awake? Rita nodded. I can't sleep. Understandable. The room became quiet. Then Joy asked something unexpected. Do you trust Ethan? Rita looked surprised. Of course. Completely. The question lingered. Rita thought carefully. Then nodded. Yes. Joy smiled softly. Good. Why? Because whatever is happening now. She paused. It's bigger than relationship drama. Rita knew she was right. The Ethan she knew wasn't perfect. But he wasn't dangerous. That much she was certain about. Yet the mystery surrounding him continued growing. And every answer seemed to create more questions. The following morning, a major breakthrough happened. Marcus finally located the witness. Or rather, the witness located him. They arranged a meeting at a secure location outside Lagos. Only 3 people would attend. Marcus, the witness, and Ethan. No one else. Not even David. When Marcus called Ethan with the news, he immediately agreed. We leave this afternoon. Good. Ethan ended the call and stared out the window. This could finally be the moment. The moment everything became clear. The moment the truth emerged. The moment he discovered who had spent years trying to destroy his life. But he had no idea that someone else had also learned about the meeting. Someone watching from the shadows. Someone who had waited years for this exact opportunity. Inside a dark office, the mastermind placed a photograph of Ethan on a table. Beside it sat another photograph. Rita. Then another. The witness. One by one, the pieces were coming together. And finally, after years of planning, the mastermind smiled. Because the endgame had begun. And before the week was over, someone would not survive it. Rain clouds gathered over Lagos that afternoon. The sky looked unusually dark, as though nature itself sensed that something dangerous was approaching. Ethan stood by the window of his mansion, staring at the heavy clouds. His reflection stared back at him. For years, he had been running. Running from memories. Running from accusations. Running from the ghost of London. Now those ghosts had finally caught up with him. And this time, there was nowhere left to hide. A knock interrupted his thoughts. David entered. You still have time to counsel. Ethan laughed quietly. You sound like my mother. I'm serious. So am I. David sighed. I don't trust this meeting. Neither do I. Then why are you going? Ethan turned toward him. Because somebody almost kidnapped Rita. The room fell silent. I can't keep waiting for them to make the next move. David nodded slowly. He understood. Anyone who threatened Rita had crossed the line. And Ethan was no longer willing to play defense. Not anymore. Meanwhile, inside the hostel, Rita was struggling to focus on her books. Every few minutes she glanced at her phone. Waiting. Worrying. Thinking. Joy noticed immediately. You're doing it again. What? Checking your phone every 30 seconds. Rita sighed. I know. You're worried. Very. Joy closed her notebook. Did Ethan tell you where he's going? Not exactly. That's suspicious. He said he was handling something important. Joy frowned. And you accepted that answer? Rita smiled weakly. No. The truth was she hated secrets. Especially now. After everything that had happened. The mysterious cause. The attempted kidnapping. The witness. The threats. Nothing felt normal anymore. And deep down, Rita feared that Ethan was walking into danger. Across town, Isabella was having problems of her own. She sat inside a luxury cafe, staring at her untouched drink. For the first time in years, she wasn't thinking about designer bags. Or expensive restaurants. Or rich men. She was thinking about friendship. About Rita. About how everything had fallen apart. The chair opposite her suddenly moved. She looked up. Richard. Again. She rolled her eyes. You really don't know when to give up. Richard sat down. I just want 5 minutes. You've been wanting 5 minutes for 3 weeks. I know. Isabella looked away. Normally she enjoyed the attention. Today it annoyed her. Something had changed. Maybe it was a mocker. Maybe it was the divorce. Maybe it was seeing Rita genuinely happy. Whatever it was, the fantasy was beginning to crack. Richard noticed her expression. What happened? Nothing. That's a lie. She laughed softly. Maybe I'm just tired. Tired of what? Tired of drama. Richard almost laughed. Coming from you, that's shocking. Funny. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Isabella asked quietly. Do you love your wife? Richard froze. The question hit harder than expected. He opened his mouth. Then closed it. Because for the first time in his life, he didn't know the answer. 2 hours later, Ethan arrived at the meeting location. It was an old private estate hidden outside Lagos. The property was surrounded by tall walls and dense vegetation. Perfect for privacy. Or a trap. David parked nearby. I still don't like this. You've mentioned that. I'm mentioning it again. Ethan smiled slightly. Then his smile disappeared. Because a black vehicle had just arrived. Marcus stepped out. And beside him, the witness. Alive. Safe. At least for now. The witness looked nervous. Very nervous. His eyes constantly scanned the surroundings. Like a man expecting danger at any moment. Marcus approached Ethan. Thanks for coming. Let's get this over with. The witness swallowed hard. Then spoke. We don't have much time. Immediately, Ethan's attention sharpened. What do you know? The witness looked around once more. Then lowered his voice. The man who ordered the shooting. He paused. Is in Nigeria. Ethan's stomach tightened. What? I found out 2 months ago. Marcus frowned. You should have told us. I wasn't sure. The witness looked terrified. Then people started following me. Nobody interrupted. Nobody even blinked. The moment I realized they knew I was asking questions. His voice trembled. I knew the danger wasn't over. Ethan folded his arms. Who is he? The witness hesitated. The hesitation alone was frightening. Because it meant the answer was huge. Very huge. Then finally, a gunshot exploded across the estate. Bang! Everyone ducked instantly. The witness screamed. A car window shattered. Marcus hit the ground. What the hell? Another gunshot followed. Bang! This time much closer. Ethan grabbed the witness and pulled him behind a concrete pillar. David immediately drew a licensed security weapon from inside the vehicle. Sniper! Chaos erupted. Birds scattered from nearby trees. People shouted. The estate suddenly transformed into a battlefield. The witness was shaking uncontrollably. They found me. Another shot rang out. Bang! Concrete exploded beside them. Marcus cursed loudly. We need to move. But before anyone could react, the witness suddenly pointed toward the distant hillside. His face had gone pale. Deathly pale. Oh God. Ethan followed his gaze. What? The witness stared into the distance. No. His voice broke. No, no, no. What is it? Then the witness whispered words that froze everyone. It's him. Silence. Even the gunfire seemed to disappear for a moment. Ethan felt his heart stop. What do you mean it's him? The witness looked terrified. The kind of terror that comes from seeing a nightmare become reality. Then he said the words that changed everything. The mastermind. Another shot exploded. Bang! The witness jerked violently. For a split second, nobody understood what happened. Then blood appeared on his shirt. Ethan's eyes widened. The witness stumbled backward. His mouth opened. No words came out. Only blood. Then he collapsed. Marcus shouted. David rushed forward. Ethan dropped to his knees. No. The witness's breathing became shallow. Weak. Dangerously weak. His eyes searched desperately for Ethan. As if he was trying to say something. Trying to reveal one final secret. One final truth. Ethan leaned closer. Stay with me. The witness grabbed his shirt. His voice was barely audible. A whisper. A dying whisper. Ethan. What? The witness struggled to breathe. Then finally forced out 3 words. 3 words that shattered Ethan's world completely. It's your father. The witness died. And for the first time in years, Ethan truly understood why someone had been trying to destroy him. Because the enemy wasn't a stranger. The enemy was family.